Thank you. And we'll have, hi Tyler, and more people will come in, I believe, as we go. But if Amanda and Sari, you could just talk a little bit about what your project is and who each of you are, and then Karen is going to talk about what she's been working on, and then we'll open it up to conversation among all of us. So I don't know who wants to go first between the two of you, Amanda and Sari.
I can.
Okay.
And just fair warning, I'm actually homesick today, so I'm a little bit out of sorts. But hi, everybody. Thank you so much for letting me join your call today. I'm the research manager of the Connected Learning Lab, formerly the Digital Media and Learning Hub. My name is Amanda Wortman. And I've been working with Mimi Ito for about 8 years now on the Connected Learning Research Network and various projects at the DML Hub. Excuse me. And right now we're just joining this call because we have an IMLS funded project called Capturing Connected Learning in Libraries. And really our goal is to help librarians across the country figure out ways to evaluate and assess the connected learning programming that's going on in their libraries. So we have been partnering with, let's see, YALSA and some of the UMedia learning labs, as well as Los Angeles Public Library, to kind of help them assess some of the programs they've been working on. And when Linda told us about this project, we thought this would be a really nice kind of synergy with the work we're doing to see if we can help some smaller libraries assess the connected learning programs that they've been doing as well. So really, we're just here to listen to what you guys have to say and see if there are any points of kind of commonality with our evaluation work. And then hopefully we can help you guys out.
Are you here?
I don't know if Sari
is here. She said she might be a little
running late.
Yeah.
So I'll just introduce her.
Okay,
she is one of the researchers working on the project. We're working in collaboration with some researchers at CU Boulder, and the team there is headed by Bill Penuel. So we have a team of researchers, and they've been kind of traveling around to different libraries and helping gather needs assessments and then helping them develop evaluation plans.
Thank you, Amanda. And
Sure.
I'll have each of you just say who you are and where you are, so Amanda gets a sense of that. And Diane, I'm going to go through from the list that I have as participants. So I'm going to have Diane, you go first. Who are you? Where are you?
I am Diane Connery in North Texas, Foxborough Library.
And Allison, who are you? You're mute. Unmute.
I always forget about that. I'm Allison Shimmick, and I'm in LaGrange, Texas at the Fayette Public Library. We're in Central Texas.
And Allison and Todd, who I'll have Todd introduce himself, they're both coaches they were in the previous cohort, so they coach with this cohort. Todd, who are you?
Hit the unmute delay. My name's Todd. I'm with the Tehama County Library in Northern California.
Thank you. Ashley. Ashley, are you unable to speak? You can chat. There she is, Gibsonville in North Carolina, and Rochelle from Hutchinson, Minnesota, and Carly. And Connie.
I'm Connie Holland. I'm the K-12 librarian at Guernsey Sunrise Schools. It's in southeastern Wyoming.
Thank you. Eric, can you talk or just chat? I can't remember when you're on your phone. Oh, just type. Okay, Eric, tell everybody tell Amanda where you're from. And John, where are you from?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, I have a new webcam. So, yeah, I'm excited. New computer, because the other one crashed. I'm from Bonham, North Texas, Bonham Public Library, North Texas.
Great, thank you. Lisa.
I'm Lisa Lewis, and I am at Shallow Public Library in Northern Arizona.
And Lisa is the president of the Association of Rural and Small Libraries. And Tyler.
My name's Tyler Hahn, and I'm from the Cherokee Public Library in northwestern Iowa.
Great, thank you. Megan, as you're walking around, where are you?
Okay, all right. I'm in Crosby, North Dakota. Is that all we're doing right now?
Yep, that's all we're doing right
Okay.
now.
Just had a class leave.
Introducing everybody to Amanda, and then Rochelle.
Getting myself
Who did I
together.
miss? That's okay. Who did I miss? If I missed you, speak.
Beth. I am Beth Kuzmic, and I am the 6 through 12 librarian at Mechanicsville High School in Mechanicsville, New York.
Yay. So you see, Amanda, we're all over the place, which is part of the whole purpose from lots of different parts of the country, with Texas and California really extra represented, it ends up. Two big states. That makes sense. So Karen, I didn't have you introduce yourself because I'm gonna have you introduce who you are, where you are, and then talk about what your project is and where you are, and let me know when you want me to share my screen. Unmute yourself.
Okay. There we go. Are we good?
We're good.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yep. I know on the computer screen, for those of you that are looking on your computer, it looks as though I am muted. That's because the computer is muted, but I wanted to be able to see everybody's face, but I'm actually on the phone call too. So I'm Karen Pierce. I'm from Slippery Rock Community Library in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. And Linda and I talked last week, and I'm so excited to share my project with you. And I'm kind of amused by the fact that I think the girls, our guest, her name was Amanda. Yes, okay. So the name of my project is actually called Growing Connections. And so I thought that was kind of a fun coincidence with the name of your group as well, Amanda. So what we are going to do is we are going to get the middle school kids, and they will be identified by the guidance counselors to, sorry, hang on. Oh, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. I was getting another phone call. So we are the guidance counselors are going to be identifying some of the leaders in the 7th and 8th grade classes. And also they are going to be identifying those kids that have not already identified themselves as leaders, but either their teachers or some of their peers or the guidance counselors will be able to say, hey, you are a leader and you just need to be able to discover this about yourself. And these kids then are going to be presented with the vision that we have for them, and then create an event that will fulfill that vision. And really what we're going to do is take these kids, and it's a twofold process. The first part of it is that they will create this event. So they'll find a place to have it. They will figure out who to invite to it. They'll figure out when it should be and all of the parameters. Basically, what we are doing is creating a real world event that will teach them how to plan an event, because event planning is something that was identified as a skill. It requires so many of the social emotional things that we've been learning about, hygiene, personal appearance, being able to look somebody in the eye when you talk with them, interviewing them for an event, as well as time planning, preparation, all of those things that go into putting on an event. And some of the college kids that I interviewed that came up time and time again, that was something they were so glad to have been exposed to at college, because they felt that was a real skill that they could take with them to whatever job. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought that was true, whether they're going into the workforce or they're going into college. And everybody needs to plan an event at some time, whether it's a birthday party or a shower or a job fair or whatever it ends up being. Event planning is a particularly versatile but very needed skill. So the first part of this project is that the kids will learn how to put an event on. And then the second part of the event is that it's actually going to be sort of an entrepreneur job fair. So we want to go out into the community and find the people that the kids have identified. So I have a list of all the businesses in my area, but the kids will identify who they want to come. But we're basing it on, there's some sort of entrepreneurial bent to it. And so they will identify who they want at the job fair and then invite them to come to this job fair, and then also invite the other students, their peers, to come to this event and participate and learn more about the different jobs that are available. And so on my list, I have, like I said, all of the businesses in the area. And I will help the kids, but this is really their project. And then because we're dealing mostly with middle school, but I think there will be some of them that just do not have some of the skill sets that they'll need. I also want to partner them up with some of the high school students who will be able to bring them into the community and introduce them to people. And I think it'll just be a great mentoring exercise for some of the high school students as well. And so we're going to create a program, which is, I have it written down here. I'm going to cheat and you look at my notes. Inquiry-based problem solving rooted in the real world. And we're going to focus on learning, problem solving, promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. So that's my first good news. And then my second good news is why I'm not sitting in my regular messy office. And so Linda, do you want to share that thing that I sent you today? I am at the Pennsylvania Workforce Development Association. Pennsylvania has, well, I'm sure every state has this, but they are celebrating, it's the 35th Annual Employment Training and Education Conference. And they called me and asked me to come, and the entire thing's paid for. And I was very excited because next year, they've asked me to present my project here with Future Ready, because we're hoping then I'll present the outcomes of the project as well. Pennsylvania is striving to begin working towards getting libraries recognized as a major component in workforce development for both employers and employees. So the sooner we can begin training our workforce, our kids, the better it will be economically for the whole state, and not just our state, but just all states together. But I just came from a presentation, and so I quick sent this to Linda, and I said, can you share this? And I just want to share this real fast. The entrepreneur in the center, those are actually little boxes, but they didn't come up very well in my scan. The entrepreneur, you can see, acts on the present, but lives in the future. So this model was created by this guy in the corner, Mark Burke, and he came and he did this presentation, and he takes this into schools, and they are working with this in kindergarten through 6th grade. They're starting this in kindergarten classes with kids, and it's true, little kids are already born with this, and then we sort of break them of it when we make them sit in rows and recite their ABCs. But little kids are problem solvers all the time. And so we want to bring this back to some of our kids so that we develop entrepreneurs for our workforce. They will, even if they're working for a big corporation or a major company and they're not an entrepreneur, if they have that entrepreneur spirit, they are company vision oriented. They're fiscally responsible. They're bringing new ideas and innovation to their job. Maintenance guys are now all standing here having a conference right next to me. I'll show you.
You're okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so they, I'm just so excited that Future Ready has given me the opportunity to reach out, not just to my community, which I know is the focus of YALSA and the library service, to create a program for our community, but it's also given me the opportunity to work on my whole state, which is just a bigger community, right? So, I don't know, questions, comments, concerns, potential obstacles you guys want to share with me?
You've gotten some
Everybody's sleeping, Linda.
No, in the chat you have, Allison said when you were talking about I think when you were describing the program, she wrote planning and personal accountability, which is awesome. And I look for some, you know what, I'm going to stop the share because I can't move my chat when I'm sharing. Okay, now I can see the chat. Love that. John said, awesome sauce. Allison again said, that's very exciting, Karen. Ashley said, exciting. And Allison said, can we post to the COP? So that, you mean the scanned file, Allison? But do people have questions? I have questions, but I want to wait. And Amanda, if you have any questions, feel free to ask too. Do people have questions, comments, thoughts? Allison, go.
I was just gonna, do you have, I mean, have you talked to some of your potential partners already? As far as the teachers and counselors, and so you feel like they're on board with this? That's awesome. Okay. When
I initially had a meeting with the superintendent, because a lot of the teachers that I talked to would say, oh, this sounds great, but I knew none of them would move ahead without the superintendent's permission and blessing. And so I've included our superintendent and our assistant superintendent in from the very beginning, and they are very, very supportive of the whole project. And in fact, they're the ones that came to me when I was sharing with Linda that I felt very discouraged. I did not have I didn't have any idea of what my project was going to be. And I'm seeing you guys come up with your projects, and I'm seeing like things on the COP, and I'm like, I don't have any ideas. And then this idea occurred. But during my conversations with the superintendent, I had said, look, I don't want to recreate the wheel. Is there something that you guys are already doing and is working really, really well so that I steer away from that? Or is there something that you see that you want my help with, that you have an idea of where this might fit in, and they immediately looked at one another and said, we are completely lacking in our entrepreneur part of Future Ready. The state of Pennsylvania has a Future Ready program, not like our Future Ready, but they call it Future Ready. And it's all just getting college and career readiness skills, but they have it run through their guidance departments, and it's called Act 339, if anybody wants to Google it, Pennsylvania 339. And it's a future ready thing. And they did say they don't, in the little kids section, it's, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, that's great. In the high school, they're actually much more focused on, okay, so you want to go to college, take these college prep courses. Okay, so you don't want to go to college, great, go to VOTEC. You know, they slide these kids into these slots. The middle school, as they said, we're lacking. You know, we're lacking in development. So they were very excited to work with me and say, whatever you want to do, we are behind. But so it was great having the superintendent's blessing, because then the teachers jumped on board, the guidance counselors jumped on board, and actually my board even jumped on board. They were supportive before, but then knowing that I had the support of the community, my board was even more willing to give me time away from the office to really develop this. So it's been great to have the teachers and superintendent support.
Other people, questions, comments, suggestions for Karen? Thoughts?
Yeah, I had a question about, so you said that they're being selected by the counselor, I believe. What is their incentive to participate?
The initial group of students chosen will be those kids that have displayed in some form or fashion the ability to be a leader, and so they're already going to have it shown some sort of leadership skills, either in the classroom, having kids, follow them, or in sports, having kids follow them. Something that we can help build upon those skills identified by the school, by the guidance counselors as already being leaders. But then Linda and I talked last week, and she said, what happens to those kids that fall through the cracks or that haven't been identified by being a leader in their classroom, or, but the teacher is like, okay, I know that Susie Hugh could do this, but she's never put herself out there yet. So this will give them an opportunity to be paired with, I don't want to use these labels, but a strong personality will be paired with a less strong personality. And so that they'll have to collaborate, and then hopefully the less strong personality will develop strength in that leadership, develop strength in the latent leadership abilities.
Will it take place during school time? The planning that they need to?
We haven't determined that yet. We have like 16 days of school left. So in all honesty, I think a lot of this skeleton planning will take place in August, when I get back together with the teachers, as far as we'll see which kids have moved away or who's still in the picture. We tend to have kind of a transient community, especially in the summertime. So once school starts, we'll actually begin really planning this. So probably it will take place either during school. The kids have a built-in, what they call it, club time. And the kids can choose a club to participate in. So some of them will do like Fellowship of Christian Athletes or debate club or theater club, and they do different clubs. So I think that the initial planning time will come during this club time, and they meet 2 times a month for 45 minutes.
Diane, I just also want to ask Karen or follow up or something in terms of the incentive, because I think, Karen, what you're trying to build in some way, who knows how this will all work, is not only will they be leaders or have capabilities that have not yet been seen, is that you're also trying to connect it to the things that, like, they might not necessarily think, oh, I want to plan an event, but they might think, oh, I want to talk to meet those kinds of people, right? Because they'll be working with different community members to talk about their jobs and stuff. So the incentive might also be in the getting to talk to certain people, learning about different kinds of things, right? Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
It does. And I actually also thought that part of it will be that they are going to be part of a special club. It's a new club. You can't just join it. You have to be picked by, by someone else. Whether it's the teachers, the guidance counselors, there's a couple of kids that come into my library now that I think would be perfect for the program, to be in that initial wave. And so it's a new club, and I think that the novelty of it will be a reward as well for some of the kids. It's something new and different, and some of the skill set. And then ultimately, the final reward is being part of that event, which will be like a career fair, job fair, networking party kind of thing. So they get to plan this party. So, yeah.
Who doesn't want to plan a party, right?
Right.
And Tyler asked if you have read the Genius Hour book that Megan mentioned. Tyler, do you want to say why you're thinking of that connection?
Well, I was just thinking, especially if she doesn't have like a blueprint planned out as of yet, since a lot of this is going to be entrepreneurial, but yet passion project kind of based, that would be another good fit with that project.
I have not read that, so I'm writing it down now. I'll order it tonight.
Megan, do you want to just mention a little bit more about what that is? The Genius book? You're still here, right? Did we lose you?
Yep, I'm still here. The Genius book would be great because it takes a lot of topics that they are interested in, want to learn more about. And they do all the major steps where they plan and they research, and they, where I'm going with it is they are going to have to pitch their topic to the rest of the group, and then that kind of makes it a community feel within our little classroom activity. But we are also going to bring in some community aspects, but the book really takes you through the steps and gives examples, and it has a lot of great documents that you can use too. So I don't have the name of the book off the top of my head right now, but it is in the COP. So if anybody's interested in that, definitely take a look at it.
Grade 4 guidance, grade 4 guidance. And Allison, expand on the rubric.
I have 2 things now.
Okay.
No, and I just said with the teachers, just hammering out maybe a list of qualities or characteristics that kind of maybe they're looking for. I'm only looking at it from a perspective of somebody's going to be upset because they weren't asked to be in the club, and just to have that on the backhand of, well, this is the teachers, and because we have a character development program in our elementary school here. And every 6 weeks, one student is honored for a specific character trait. And while, all the parents get upset that, not everybody got that. So sometimes just making sure you have that to back up what the teachers and the counselors and you are doing. And now I think I forgot about, it was what Megan was saying. I think it's really cool. You could even do something like that by compartmentalizing the tasks for the event. Maybe some people are more passionate about, layout and setup and, decoration. And then others might be more passionate about reaching out to the businesses and going, and meeting people and having that social aspect. So I don't know, maybe if it might be, you could kind of identify what particular groups were more interested / passionate about in the planning process.
Build on their strengths.
And interests, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because you were just, and going back to the first thing you said, Allison, about covering bases about selection. I also was wondering if you call this a pilot. Now, I don't know if you can do that in the school, but the pilot thing is a really interesting way to bring a group together. It's like a co-design or participatory design thing, but yet you're saying, we're going to get a group together, and it doesn't mean that other people can't help us next time or get excited about it, but we're like, we need to test this out and we want to see how it works. So I don't know if you could do that. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Anything else?
I say pilot all the time about my workshops.
I wish for the first cohort of Future Ready, we called it a pilot. It would have been a lot better. Other thoughts or questions for Karen?
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And this may be early, Karen, but I'm just wondering if you've thought about how you will define success for the participants?
I figured that at the end of the job fair, I would have the kids would have a sheet where they need to go around. Oh, I can hold it up. Where they can go around and go to each place that they have visited, each vendor, and then there's a little something that they've learned. That's the second column. And then the third column is a signature of the person that had the booth. So say they go to Adam Mattis, he's a woodworker. And so when they go there, they'll have to write down something that they learned, and then he can sign off on the thing. They can turn their sheets in, and then this way at the end, I'll know how many kids went to the different places, and they need to write down something that they learned. And I realize that there's an opportunity for them to either fudge the signatures or just write down, oh, I learned about cabinet making. I know that there's sheets around that, but I think that there will be kids that will participate in the program, honestly. And so there'll be a way to measure how many kids went to each I'll call it a vendor, but or each entrepreneur participant.
Amanda, do you have any other thoughts about that? To put you on the spot, or sorry?
I think that's definitely like a good start to kind of start thinking about what they're going to be doing. But I would also want to think about how you would measure what kind of skills they're doing and how you might measure those things. Like just thinking out loud, you might want to think of giving them a little tiny mini survey at the beginning with kind of attitudinal questions where they can like agree or disagree to a statement, and then you can try that again after they've done this event and see if some of the things have changed. Like perhaps they feel more confident about leadership skills or things like that.
Yeah, because actually there's two kinds of success, right? There's the success in event planning, and there's the success at the actual event, right? So the event of what you've learned at the actual event, but then what about the planning of the event, right?
Karen, for my project, we did something where it was a lot of different vendors and like around 1,000 kids visiting each vendor. And with my community partner, we identified sort of what some of the issues were with the young people in the area. And so we created the job awareness like bingo, where each vendor, they had to ask a question that touched on just different aspects of the agriculture careers and stuff like, do you like math? Do you like science? And it really helped kind of make it fun visiting each vendor, but it also gave the young people an opportunity to ask them actual real career questions versus kind of just saying, you know, what do you do? Or, you know, can I get a sample? So, and then with those responses, I was able to just kind of circle back with my community partner and say, okay, X amount of kids got this type of awareness from this type of career that they wouldn't have if they had never attended it. So that's actually another kind of component with your group, though, as far as thinking about what questions would they like, because having kids help develop the questions is far more impactful than two adults of what would be interesting to them.
Yeah. Okay. Can you send me, Todd, like one of your bingo cards?
Yeah. I posted it on the COP in a chat thing, but I'll post it again.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely on the COP.
One thing I wanted to add to that is, I don't know if you've ever heard of it's the SOAR Optimist. So it's SOR and then Optimist. And it is a program, and it's totally developed already, that targets girls, and it is usually a one-day event held somewhere like a YMCA, and it is a leadership program, and their premise is for social and economic empowerment. I had actually had some students sign up for it, and then due to unforeseen circumstances, the venue had to cancel it. So I was super bummed because I was so excited to share all this with you guys, because they were going to let me go and just trail my kids. They said, actually, no one's ever asked to do that before. But then it got canceled. But I know it's a national program, and they kind of already have some of that entrepreneurial and leadership stuff developed. I know the woman in my area was just so incredibly nice and forthcoming. So it might just be a good resource if you wanted to check them out and see, see if they have some stuff that you could use in your actual event.
You're mute. Or is Karen mute? Are you mute?
Sorry, I said good deal. Thank you.
All right, and Todd, what are you saying? Yeah, Todd is saying that Karen, can you see the chat? I don't think you can, right? Can you?
No, because I see my telephone numbers that I've called.
Yeah, so Todd is talking about thinking about online personalities versus classroom personalities, which also I'm thinking, and Todd, are you thinking about that in terms of selection of who?
In terms of selection, there's gamers, for example, that have very larger than life personalities when they're playing Mario Kart. I mean, it's amazing, but then in a classroom, it's like, don't look at me, don't talk to me. So I hope that that would just be an interesting component too, especially for the students, if they're developing it, where they're reaching out to businesses, via email or, building a website for it. So just
That's a great point.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about, I hadn't even thought about like Skyping online businesses, you know, the ones that might not necessarily be able to be there, but we do a huge pop culture convention. And I bet a lot of those people that the companies that I work with would be willing to talk about game development and, all right.
Well, and also
Whole other
thinking
avenue,
about-
Todd, thank you.
Well, but Todd, one of the things that just came to mind is all those youth might be what the classroom teacher and counselors think are not leaders or academic, but actually are because they just show it in a different way in a different environment, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen it with adults where at different, like, if you, like, bars will have like a Mario Kart night, and you will see people just come alive playing Mario Kart. But then the second they step away from that screen, they're just, it's a different personality there. And so it's just an interesting skill set to consider kind of embracing that could really flourish, actually. Because so many people do their communication now electronically.
And you're also, so Todd, yesterday I was in Oakland, and there were people there from a library where they do a K-pop program. And one of the big things they talked about was how it has become a place for teens to have discourse about K-pop. And when they were talking about these teens who aren't necessarily the teens that you think about having high-end academic discourse about things, but this really was. And so it was really interesting to hear them talk about who they've had come to this program and how it's become like a place to talk about the music, not just like to dance. Nothing wrong with the dancing part, right? So they've brought in a whole new group who are leading this activity. So that's fascinating. Thank you. All right, what else? So let's say thank you, Karen, and congratulations on all your work and also on the conference. And I appreciate that you're doing this sitting in a conference in a hotel hallway while you're at the conference. I think that's really great. Pure dedication.
Well, thank you for asking me.
You're welcome. So, but we have about 15 minutes late, so I'd love to have some updates from others to hear what's going on. I can call on people, but does anybody want to talk about what they've been working on or ask questions while we're all here? Something you really want to find out about? Beth, are you going to talk?
I can. I am trying to finalize with my district whether or not this cohort has allowed me to kind of change the curriculum a little bit. My home and careers facts, whatever you'd like to call her, teacher is all in. And we've been working really hard to redevelop the 6th and the 8th grade curriculum and potentially co-teach it next year. She dabbled a little bit in it previously, but as we have interviewed business people and I've gone to Chamber of Commerce meetings, and the heavier I get into it, the more it comes back to soft skills. I know that's a total shock to everyone on this phone call, but so we thought we would really start working on it with them in 6th grade. We have a couple of ideas for like a culminating project, end of the half a year, because we only have them for half a year project. We haven't gotten that far yet, but we're definitely working in that direction. And then the only other thing is, which I didn't want to tell anybody, but my district blasted it out, was I won the Southern Saratoga County Educator of the Year award last Thursday, and I got a day off from it, which was great. But a huge part of that was this cohort and just the idea of the fact that I've been willing to look at the community as a whole and the students' place in it, and just working towards making that an overall better situation. I do a ton of other things too, like, you know, I have a clothing closet and all that kind of stuff. But this cohort is a huge part of it. So I was really, really excited, and as kind of embarrassed as I was, I then decided I'm going to use it when I go talk to even more businesses.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Beth. We have 2 awards.
Well, thank you
are present today. Allison, you might not have all heard, but Allison won Texas Library Association Small Library Director of the Year Award. Did I do that right?
Yeah.
Close enough.
And Beth, so that's great.
Awesome.
Yay, congratulations to you both. That's really awesome. So yeah, keep us posted, Beth. Who else is working on something to talk about?
I can just, I'll share mine, although I don't have a lot of specifics. Mine will be esports based. I'm waiting to hear about an IMLS grant in June, which will be here before we know it. So I've just, that would be $50,000. So we'll go in one direction with $50,000. If I don't get that grant, then it will look different, but it'll still be based on esports. And primarily for me, it's with the collaboration of the NASEF, North America Scholastic Esports Federation. They've done a lot of work around the SEL skills and this whole, they call it an ecosystem within esports. It's not just the gamers at all. It's, you know, writing and animators and shoutcasters and managers, event planners, and an entire curriculum is built around it.
Well, you're reminding me that you and Tyler connected me with that person, and he and I lost track of each other because we were trying to set up a date to talk, so I have to get back to him. Thank you for getting there. Lisa, what's happening with you? Sorry.
I am still kind of plugging away. I have identified my partner, one of my partners, so that's good. We're going to partner with Arizona at Work. So that's a strong partner. But we're still kind of trying to narrow down what it is we want to do. It was interesting because what Karen was talking about is kind of what I've been leaning towards, doing some kind of a leadership institute of some sort. But I don't really have it pinned down yet. We're still talking, still trying to figure it out. You know, that it won't happen until after school starts again. So we're working on it. Not a whole lot to report right now.
Yeah, this is sort of the time when people are just sort of deep into it. But you know, listening to all of you at this moment and having Amanda and Sari here, and I'm not putting anything on the 2 of you, but I'm realizing we do have a theme, and Todd and Allison, are you seeing that over the past 2 years, because Todd and Allison, this is how long you've been on it, we really do tend to have certain types of projects, even if they're customized for the community. So it's either the fairy thing, and I'm not saying fairy with wings, but fair, job fair, science fair, career fair, etc., right? Or something like what you're doing, Allison, which is learning about different opportunities and businesses and people and skills by going out. But there's similarities, right? So I'm wondering, as Sari and Amanda, as you're thinking about the work you're doing, if there is a focus that a lot of our projects seem to be taking, we could then say to you, hey, this is the focus. What do you think are the best ways to find success, look at success, right? Am I making sense? I'm sort of just in my head. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So my apologies. I unfortunately had to join a bit late. So I feel like I missed a good chunk of the context of what was being discussed and the project that Karen was talking about. But one thing that it brought to mind for me and from Todd's suggestions as well was maybe an opportunity there to do youth participatory research in some capacity where they're sort of developing their own questions that they're curious about either these different types of career paths or what people in these small businesses are doing, and then having that be a meaningful sort of youth-directed way to get at what they might be learning from putting together the event that was being discussed. But again, I missed a lot, so.
It's okay, and this is recorded, which I will send to everyone, including Amanda and Sari, so you can catch up on it.
Great.
But yeah, because I'm realizing, like, I'm also not putting anyone in this group on the spot, but we talk about, like, at the beginning, we talk about outcomes. We have a planning template people use, and there's outcomes in there. But when you ask that question about success, Amanda, I think we forget to keep coming back to that. And so I'm just thinking about how we as a group remember to keep coming back to, well, what am I looking for what will success look like? What am I looking for in terms of change, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think success can look different to different constituents as well. So it's obviously, you know, as you create the program, you have a version of success. The students will have their own version of success. If there's somebody above you that's looking at this, they'll probably have their own version of success. So just kind of trying to think of a through line for all of those different people when you're creating the programming.
Yeah, that's interesting because IMLS has a version of success too.
Right. Yes.
So for you and for us. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. I have to think more about that. All right, what else? So Ellison, what's happening with you? You've done the bank and the communications company. Do you have another one scheduled?
We have 2 the first week of June.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so we have the community theater, a radio station, and a local listening room, which is kind of an event venue, are going to do the arts. So they'll do different careers in the arts. The kids will get to record commercials. They'll get to practice with those types of careers. And then we'll have medical. So we have EMS, an orthopedic surgeon, a dentist, a funeral director, a vet. And so they all have different x-ray and suturing activities and a bunch of different things like that. But I was also going to say just then that sometimes we get the outcomes we get from the surveys and the talkback boards and all of those different types of things that we use, but sometimes we won't even see some of the outcomes, because I had a parent come up to me today at lunch and say, hey, you know, it's funny, her daughter was half on her cell phone for the last one. And she said, you know, she was talking to me about the event. She says, hey, you know, I really did learn something. And this was a month or 2 later, and here she is telling her mom, I was paying attention and I knew what was going on and I did learn something. And so sometimes we don't always hear that, and granted, I know that that's not a formal, I mean, we can't necessarily, that's not very formal, but sometimes we might not get to see those things, and
awesome.
It does make a difference. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really good point. Carly, I'm moving on. Carly, what's up with you? I'm trying to get as many of you in as possible.
Oh, Carly can't talk. She said that in the beginning.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Carly can't talk. Well, she can talk, but we know. Typing. Thank you, Carly. And Connie, what's happening with you?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Probably my biggest thing is I'm just trying to regroup. We're losing our administration, and I know that's going to change quite a bit of our culture around here. And so I'm just trying to keep things where they are, and then just kind of see, I'm kind of, holding pattern right now to see what happens and who we end up getting and kind of which way things will go. So that's kind of where I'm at. Not a lot going on just because I don't know how, you know, the new administrator will. Right now I have an administrator that lets me pretty much do whatever I need to do and is very supportive. I don't know if that will be the case again. So
you just need to keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you, Carly. Perfect. John, how are you doing? Doing.
I'm doing fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, just saying that. We're still. I talked to Alice a little bit at TLA, but in other words, I should have got that award and not her. By the way, I'm just kidding around. I was there when she got it. I'm just joking around. But I'm still trying to kind of figure out what direction to go. I'm going to have a meeting with some people, those who are kind of making kind of like a committee overall to look at what direction we really need to go, what programs we need to go. I talked to a lady today at the library about it. She's going to be on that committee. And so she's kind of doing a thing for adults right now, connecting adults who have some issues, dealing with things, and how to connect them into the world and their social skills and that kind of things. And I thought, well, I like to take what they're doing for adults and put that with younger, with middle school students. So her and I are going to get together and talk about that. So I'm just kind of looking at, summer readings coming up, and that I'm kind of like into that and doing that, trying to get that all ready at the same time. So I'm working on about 5 different projects at the same time right now. So I'm trying to work on it. So it's going good, I think. And Allison really encouraged me a lot too. So I appreciate that.
Right. So I was just going to put Allison and Todd on the spot, and Todd left. He must have had my vibe. But right, I do know. So we're about 6 months in. 6 months in. And the coaches and I have talked about this a bit with Carol. And we know that it gets a little bit, what's the word? Challenging, tiring, whatever. Terrifying at this point in. So Allison, what words of wisdom do you have for everyone?
The one thing I say is you might be one meeting away from figuring it all out. And it could just take that. Because that's really what happened with me. And I know that there's some other people that it could just be that one interaction away. And that you just haven't met the right partner yet. And you maybe just haven't met that person yet. That may or may not be motivating, but that's it. It really just takes a little bit to make all the dominoes fall into place. And then.
Yeah. I think that's what happened with Karen, for sure. She was ignoring me like John is. Like I would email and they wouldn't respond. I would say, how are you doing? And they're not responding. And she told me she didn't want to respond because she didn't have anything. I'm just putting that on the spot, Karen.
It's totally true.
It is totally true. You told me that.
I said.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I said, I didn't want to talk to you because I didn't have anything to tell you. I was just feeling so overwhelmed. But like Allison said, it was one event and it all came together. Like all of a sudden it was like dominoes, but all the pieces fell into what the space they were supposed to fall.
Yeah. And I think, so if you want to, like John, you talking to Allison, that's awesome. And you don't have to respond. I feel like you and I know each other enough that I could say that. And Karen and I know each other enough. But I think that it's like tough right now. I get that, but just let it all simmer and get to where you need to be. And my outcome is Allison and some other people know is that I want you to learn and to ask the questions and to come up with something, but I'm in no rush for you. IMLS is in no rush for you, and I'm in no rush for you. So give yourself that time to learn and process and figure it all out, and it will happen. I promise. Look, Allison is in year 2, and she's just finishing hers up. So I think that don't worry about it too much. Anybody else? We're over time. All right. Thank you again, Karen. It was really great to have you talk about everything. We will continue next week for whoever can be here and have a new conversation, and keep posting on the community of practice. Thanks, Sari and Amanda, for being here. I will email with the recording and whatever else next. Bye, everybody.